Hello, everyone. According to the United Nations, Sudan is currently facing the largest humanitarian catastrophe on the planet. Thousands have lost their lives, millions have been forced from their homes, and the images emerging from the country are so horrifying that they almost defy belief. On the 27th of October 2025, Yale University's Humanitarian Research Lab released an analysis of satellite imagery taken over the Sudanese city of El Fasher. What those images revealed was chilling. Groups of bodies lying on the ground with so much blood around them that the scene was clearly visible even in satellite photos. The report concluded that armed groups were moving from home to home, carrying out a deliberate campaign of ethnic cleansing against the region's indigenous non-Arab communities. Today we're going to break down what is happening in Sudan and why. Sudan, its geography and its people. Here is Sudan on the map. It sits in North Africa, directly south of Egypt. To the west are Libya, Chad and the Central African Republic. To the east lies the Red Sea, separating Sudan from Saudi Arabia and the wider Middle East. Like many Middle Eastern countries, around 95% of Sudan's population is Muslim, most of them Sunni. However, the country is ethnically diverse. Sudan's roughly 50 million people are divided into two major groups. About 70% identify as Arab Muslims, while the remaining 30% belong to African ethnic groups such as the Fur, Zagawa, Berti and Nuba. Most of these communities are also Sunni Muslims, and only a small percentage, about 1 or 2%, follow Christianity or traditional African faiths. Sudan is rich in natural resources. It is Africa's third largest producer of gold, mining more than 60,000 kilograms each year. For comparison, India produces less than 2,000 kilograms annually. Yet despite this, Sudan remains one of the world's poorest countries. Why? Because around 90% of its gold is smuggled out illegally. The government receives almost no revenue, and the profits fund armed groups that use the money to purchase weapons. Sudan's long history of dictatorship. After gaining independence from joint British-Egyptian rule in 1956, Sudan spent most of its modern history under military dictators. The most infamous was General Omar Hassan al-Bashir, who seized power in 1989. He ruled for 30 years, a period marked by economic failure, corruption, inequality, and multiple civil wars. In 2011, South Sudan split off and became an independent nation. For Sudan, the economic fallout was severe. Its GDP has been negative for the past 17 years. In 2019, massive protests erupted across the country. People demanded democratic reforms, but those protests were taken over by two powerful military leaders, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, commanding the Sudanese army, General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, leader of the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF. Together, they removed Omar al-Bashir from power. Under public pressure, the two generals announced that elections would be held and formed a temporary civilian military council in August 2019. Al-Burhan became its head, and Dagalo became his deputy. But in October 2021, Al-Burhan dissolved this transitional government, declared a state of emergency, and took control. Dagalo remained second in command. Together, they became the dominant forces in Sudan. How a power struggle turned into a civil war. Eventually, the two factions turned against each other. The army wanted the RSF to merge into the regular military. The RSF refused, fearing it would lose its authority and influence. Both sides also wanted to control the unified armed forces. Gold was a major factor. Both the army and the RSF controlled different mining regions, and both wanted more. Tensions increased rapidly. RSF troops spread across the country. The army saw this as a provocation. On the 15th of April 2023, full-scale civil war broke out. At first, the army had the advantage with aircraft and greater resources. But the RSF had become powerful over the years. It seized parts of the capital, Khartoum, including the presidential palace. After nearly 2 years, the army recaptured Khartoum in March 2025. However, in June 2025, the RSF won several important battles near the borders of Libya and Egypt. As of early November 2025, most of Western Sudan, including Darfur and Kordofan, is under RSF control. Northern and eastern regions are controlled by the army. Once again, Sudan stands on the edge of breaking apart, and it is entirely possible that the RSF-held region could become a separate country in the future. A humanitarian crisis. This struggle for power has devastated the people of Sudan, more than 150,000 killed, over 10 million displaced, schools, hospitals, and vital infrastructure destroyed. Severe hunger. By September 2025, 375,000 people in Darfur and Kordofan were on the brink of starvation. Outbreaks of cholera, dengue, and malaria. Aid convoys looted, farmers unable to plant crops. Before the war, Sudan was already extremely poor. In 2022, the average annual income was only $750, about $60,000. Today, conditions are far worse. Ethnic cleansing in Darfur, a return to the 2003 genocide. The current ethnic violence has deep historical roots. In 2003, non-Arab tribes in Darfur rose up against the Arab-dominated government. In response, Omar al-Bashir created the Janjaweed, a brutal Arab militia. The name means devils on horseback. The Janjaweed carried out widespread killings, rape, and destruction. By 2008, more than 300,000 people had been killed and over 2 million displaced, mostly members of the Fur, Masalit, and Zagawa tribes. The United States officially labeled it a genocide. Omar al-Bashir became the first sitting president charged with genocide and crimes against humanity by the International Criminal Court. General Dagalo, today's RSF chief, was part of the Janjaweed. He participated in operations like the infamous 2004 Adwa massacre, where 126 members of the Fur tribe were killed and many villages burned. In 2013, under intense international pressure, the Janjaweed was rebranded as the Rapid Support Forces, RSF. But the members, the leadership, and the ideology remained largely unchanged. Since the civil war erupted in 2023, the RSF has revived the same horrors. Human Rights Watch has documented ethnic cleansing of the Masalit community in El Geneina. Thousands have been killed. RSF fighters have also been accused of mass killings in El Fasher and burying victims in mass graves. On the 26th of October 2025, after 18 months of fighting, the RSF captured El Fasher. Within just 3 days, over 1,500 non-Arab civilians, Fur, Zagawa, and Berti, were murdered. This is not a religious conflict. All sides are Sunni Muslim. This is ethnic violence. The RSF blames tribal tensions, but its own fighters have posted videos online showing themselves celebrating around piles of bodies. The army is not innocent either. It has been accused of airstrikes and heavy shelling in civilian areas. Both Al-Burhan and Gallo have long records of brutality. They once stood together. Now they are destroying an entire nation to defeat each other. Influence, a global struggle for power. Sudan's location makes it a magnet for foreign intervention. It sits between Africa and the Middle East. It has access to the Red Sea, a critical global trade route. It has gold, oil pipelines, and huge geopolitical value. According to Amnesty International, Russia, China, Turkey, and the UAE have supplied weapons to both sides. The UAE is widely accused of supporting the RSF, reportedly providing advanced Chinese drones. Sudan's army even filed a case against the UAE at the International Court of Justice in March 2025, though the court declined to hear it. Those who accuse the UAE claim it receives smuggled Sudanese gold in return. Meanwhile, Iran, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia back the Sudanese army, and Iran is accused of supplying drones and missiles. Russia's Wagner Group has reportedly provided missiles to the RSF, though Russia is now trying to engage diplomatically with both sides. Foreign interference has made this conflict far more complicated. What comes next? Many peace negotiations have collapsed. Recently, the RSF accepted a 3-month humanitarian ceasefire proposed by the US, Egypt, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia. The army has not yet agreed. If the fighting stops, the first priority will be helping the Sudanese people. But so far, the international response has been deeply inadequate. According to the UN, 30 million people, 60% of Sudan's population, need emergency assistance. For 2025, $4.2 billion is required. Only $1.45 billion has been received. UNHCR needs $1.11 billion for refugees. Only 35% of that is funded. A country destroyed by 3 men. Sudan's downfall can be traced to 3 individuals driven by greed. 1, Omar al-Bashir, the longtime dictator. 2, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, the army chief. 3, 3, Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, the RSF commander. Their hunger for power and wealth has devastated a resource-rich nation and plunged it into the world's worst humanitarian disaster. And tragically, much of the world remains indifferent, largely because they have no direct stake in Sudan. This is why the crisis is often called the Forgotten War. In 2025, a genocide is unfolding once again, right in front of us. It can still be stopped, but only if the world chooses to act. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, please subscribe to the channel. Your support helps me create more in-depth videos like this.